So it's not long now until the big day.
That's right.
About 2 weeks.
Well, I hope it's a marvellous day for you. Don't listen to people when they start telling you about their weddings, about how it rained all day and everything went wrong and so on.
What was your wedding day like?
Oh, quite memorable, actually. As a matter of fact, it rained all day and everything went wrong. No, I'm only joking. It wasn't like that at all. Although, of course, we had some problems later. Anyway, that's another story. Incidentally, Jeff.
Yes?
You weren't planning on calling me Uncle William, were you?
No, I don't think I could get used to that.
Nor could I. Just call me William.
Okay. Although that'll probably take a little getting used to as well.
Oh, true. But you can't go on calling me Mr. Jones, can you?
I guess not.
There was something else I wanted to ask you about. What was it? Oh, yes. Will you want to travel a little less after you're married?
Well, I'd prefer that if possible.
We've talked about it quite often, actually.
Oh, good. Because I've had quite a few ideas for reorganizing the company, and I've got some suggestions. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Oh, this isn't a working lunch. We're not here on business. I wanted us to have lunch together today so that I could wish you both lots of happiness. So, cheers.
Oh, thank you, Uncle William.
Jeff, you're a lucky man.
I know.
Well, I feel the same. I think he's a lucky man, too.
Pull tab. Floral plaits. Pearl. Coiled plaits. Dessert. Nail. Lapel buttons. To take an order. Push button. Metal frame. Black and white photo. Pillar. Knitted sweater. Champagne glass. Fish and chips. Napkin. Fork. Pillar.
George!
Hello, Julia. This is a surprise. Fancy meeting you here.
I'm working just round the corner at the moment.
Well. What a small world. How are you?
Fine.
I was talking to Norman the other day. He was telling me about your wedding. I never heard the full story before. I was very impressed.
Impressed?
Yes. It sounds as if you had a really wonderful day.
Well, I wouldn't say that exactly. You could call it an eventful day or a memorable day, but wonderful isn't quite the right word. Frankly, I was relieved when it was over.
I heard about the photographs in the rain.
With Norman looking totally bewildered, yes. And I suppose he told you about the car breaking down.
Yes.
And about the drums.
The drums?
Yes. At the reception, he insisted on playing the drums with the band. Didn't he tell you about that?
Oh, yes. Well, he said it was the band who insisted on it.
Well, I like that. It was all his idea.
And he's not the greatest drummer in the world, is he?
Oh, that is the understatement of the year. He's absolutely terrible. Still, I hear from Susan that you had an eventful wedding day too.
Yes, you could say that. A day filled with happiness, sadness, anger, shock, excitement and confusion.
We must get together soon. We'll bring our photos. You can see us standing in the rain, smiling bravely.
And you can see Susan's father looking absolutely furious and the rest of us climbing through a window.
Great, we'll look forward to it. See you soon.
Keep smiling.
English literature from the Caribbean. The earliest example of English literature from the Caribbean is an anonymous poem written in Jamaica in 1718, welcoming a new governor to the island. So it can be said that English literature has existed in the region for more than 2.5 centuries. It was in the first half of the 20th century, however, that authors of great ability, creating a distinctively Caribbean literature in English, began to appear.
3 short poems by Caribbean poets. The Spider. I'm told that the spider has coiled up inside her enough silky material to spin an aerial, one-way track to the moon and back, whilst I cannot even catch a fly. Frank Collymore, Barbados. So that we build. In a great silence I hear approaching rain. There is a sound of conflict in the sky. The frightened lizard darts behind a stone. First was the wind, now is the wild assault. I wish this world would sink and drown again, so that we build another Noah's Ark, and send another little dove to find what we have lost in floods of misery. Martin Carter, Guyana. Greenwich Village, winter. A book is a life, and this, white paper death, I roll it on the drum and write, rum courage on my breath. The truth is no less hard than it was years ago, than what Catullus, villain, heard, each word, black footprints in the frightening snow. Derek Walcott, St. Lucia.
Some slang expressions. Crazy, bonkers, crackers, food, chow, grub. Money, bread, dough, policeman, bobby, cop, copper. Stupid, dumb, stupid person, jerk. Up the creek, in a bad situation. Round the bend, crazy. Again from the top, from the beginning, for kicks, for pleasure. On the blink, not working normally.
Preparing for examinations. Many learners of a new language, of course, are not particularly interested in taking examinations in the language. Those learners who do take examinations, however, have various reasons for doing so. Simply for personal satisfaction, in order to give their studies a definite direction or goal.
Because success in the examination will help them in their job, or in getting another job.
Because the examination is a necessary qualification for entry to a college or university at which they wish to study. If you have been thinking about taking an English examination, you may find the information given on these pages useful. Preparing for an examination. When you have decided on the examination you wish to take, you should obviously find out exactly what it consists of. For example, will it test your knowledge of grammar or vocabulary in particular? Or will it test your ability to communicate generally? Is it a multiple choice test, in which you have to choose correct answers from several possibilities? Or will you have to write complete texts? Will you have to write formal letters, informal letters, summaries? Will you have to read a newspaper article or a literary text, for example, and answer questions about it? Does the exam include dictation, translation, conversation, reading aloud? Do you have to study any particular books beforehand? The organisation offering the examination will give you all the necessary details, and it is often possible to see examination papers from previous years. When you know exactly what you have to do in the exam, you can prepare for it by practicing the appropriate skills. You should also, of course, revise especially the areas of the language in which you have problems. You may know, for example, that you need to study particular points of grammar or pronunciation. For most examinations, it is possible to follow a special course of preparation, and there are books and cassettes designed to help you to do this, whether you are studying in a class or on your own. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A handsome gentleman will put his head into a lion's mouth. Watch, everybody.
Stand up. Turn around. Step forward. Climb onto Mary's back.
Look up, everybody. A Superman in the sky.
Attention, please. Thank you, everybody. Now watch the next one.
Ringmaster. Taming whip. The roar of a lion. Circus. Walk the tightrope. Balancing pole.
I remember my wedding day very clearly. I got married
In London?
No,
In winter?
No, in
church? In secret?
No, in a smart suit.
Oh.
I got married in a really smart suit. And my wife was in...
In tears?
No, in white. My wife was in white. We had some photographs taken by...
By a photographer?
No, by the river. We had some photographs taken by the river in the...
In the park?
No, in the...
In the afternoon?
No, in the rain. Do you remember your wedding day?
How could I forget it after,
After only 2 years?
No, after what happened at the reception.
What was that?
Well, Susan's father got angry and left without,
Without saying goodbye?
No, without,
Without eating his piece of the wedding cake?
No, without making his speech.
Oh.
Yes, he left without making his speech. And as he left, he accidentally locked the door and no one else could get out.
Really?
Yes. Still, finally we all got out by...
By midnight?
No, by climbing through a window. We all got out by climbing through a window. It was a very memorable day.
What was it that made Susan's father angry?
Oh, he was angry about,
About having you as a son-in-law?
No. He was angry about what I was wearing.
What were you wearing?
Well, I decided to get married in my uniform.
What's wrong with that? Were you in the army at the time?
No, I was a milkman.
Oh.
Kettle. carpet, brooch, wedding suit,
Yes!
best man, a bunch of flowers, bride, hand in hand, white wedding train,
Hello.
milkman,
I remember my wedding day very clearly.
Were you in white?
Yes, I was in white, and so was George.
Really?
Yes, he was wearing his long white milkman's coat and his milkman's cap, of course.
Well, that was very original.
Yes, typical of George. My father wasn't very happy about it. In fact, he was absolutely furious about it. He left the reception without making his speech.
Well, I'm not surprised he was angry with George.
He was angry with me, too. He said I should have stopped George doing it.
How did you feel about it?
Oh, I didn't mind him wearing his milkman's uniform. Things could have been worse. We'd originally planned to get married a couple of months earlier. And a couple of months earlier, he was working as a lifeguard on the beach. Do you remember your wedding day?
Oh, yes. But I don't talk about it very often.
Why not?
It consisted of one disaster after another. We borrowed an old Rolls Royce from some friends, and it broke down on the way to the church. My parents didn't like Norman's parents, so they didn't speak to each other for most of the day. And at the reception, Norman insisted on playing the drums with the band, and he must be the worst drummer in the world.
It sounds like an interesting day.
Well, looking back on it, it seems very amusing. But it wasn't quite so amusing at the time.
I've never seen your wedding photographs. Didn't you have any taken?
Oh, yes. We had some photographs taken. In the rain.
In the rain?
Yes. The photographer said, "Don't look at the camera." Of course he meant, look at each other. Anyway, in most of the photographs, I'm looking at Norman, and Norman's looking at the ground, or the trees, or the sky, or the river. I'll show them to you sometime if you like.
Yes, I'll look forward to that. We've got some good wedding photos too, actually. My favourite one is of George climbing through a window in his milkman's uniform.
cake, fat, flower band, check and fix, tail coat, thin,
There was a clock in the room which the stranger often turned to look at.
Charles Dickens, Martin Chuzzlewit.
That man's silence is wonderful to listen to.
Thomas Hardy, Under the Greenwood Tree.
They found plenty of things to be delighted with, but nothing to be astonished at.
Mark Twain, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
That's enough to begin with, Humpty Dumpty interrupted.
Lewis Carroll, Through the Looking Glass.
short-sighted glasses. illustration, word card, preposition, teacher's pointer,
The forms and uses of prepositions. Concerning place. Concerning time. Also used as adverb or as adverbial particle. Also used as conjunction.
About, above, after, at, as, around, along, before, behind, between, by, down, during, of, for, in, into, like, near, off, on, onto, over, to, till, under, until, up, with, without, since.
The forms and uses of prepositions.
The boss is in his office. Is the boss in? The boss has just come in. I'll phone you again after lunch. I'll phone you again after I've finished work.
The extracts from the play. There are exceptions to this, however. The Nobel Prize for Literature. You should have no difficulty in understanding the text. I've just received a telegram. Where is it from? What are you laughing at? This is the kind of music I like listening to.